week, Uncle Tony is back after LJ's criticisms to talk about this week in the NFL. From Josh Gordon to penalties to the Steelers locker room, this has been a wild week. Find out who won't make the playoffs and more this week on Just Press Play.
Pregnant ladies and little kids better get the hell out of the way because I am running. I'm like Forrest Gump, dude. I am running. So, welcome to Kirk Cousins. Here we go. Kirk Cousins. I like that. I want you each to use ombudsman in a sentence next week. I got one for you. My name is Kevin, the official ombudsman of the Just Press Play podcast. You like apples?
All right, here we are. We are missing LJ tonight, but we do have another appearance from Uncle Tony. He's back. What's going on, Tone?
Gentlemen, how you doing?
He called us gentlemen, Kev.
Yeah.
And as always, we got Pops on board. And here, go ahead. What were you going to say, Tone?
Well, I wanted to say thank you guys for inviting me back. I really appreciate it. I was real excited last week to get the call, and even more excited this week because, I get invited to a lot of places. I don't always get invited the second time to a lot of places. So I appreciate the invitation.
Yeah.
It's that second invite that can be kind of be tough.
So we're not going to tell him this was a pity invite, right, Kev?
Yeah. Well, we were supposed to keep that off the recording, but all right, now I guess the cat's out of the bag.
I guess. Oh, well.
Well, so we can go ahead and jump in a little bit. There's a lot to react to from the last time we recorded. So, as you know, Dad, we were talking last time about potential Josh Gordon places, and it looks like the Patriots have pulled off again. The Patriots got Josh Gordon. We got some pass interference problems. Then we didn't even get to talk about Sunday night and Monday night. So we'll just start there to kind of go from the beginning. Do y'all have any big reactions from the Sunday night game, the Giants-Cowboys?
Well, the Cowboys, Tony was saying they're not going to make the playoffs, and they certainly looked a lot better. But I think most of that is they played a bad Giants defense. I think that's the biggest part.
I think
of it.
I'm going to let – I'm interested to see where Tony has to go because I know Tony just loves talking Cowboys. But my favorite thing from the game clearly was Eli Manning's face throughout the day as he was getting up off the ground. And then after the game, he just had the classic Eli face where he just looks pitiful and sad and maybe confused at why he's at a stadium. But Tony, what you got? What'd you think from the game?
Well, I think it's interesting. And first of all, I've never been compared to Skip Bayless before, and I do appreciate that. I don't know where that came from, but that was, for me, that was, as the Cowboy fan I am, my worst nightmare. Because here's the deal. That was a very bad Cowboy team on the field. They had one play for 60-something yards. It wasn't even a drive. They didn't have a touchdown drive until the fourth quarter. And, against that Giants defense, that's just not acceptable. It was a win, but come on, dude. Tavon Austin fools you and gets out there and gets that 7 points. That's fine, but that was just a poor display of offense, and I don't know where they go from there. But because they're not going to get the Giants one more time. So I guess 2-14 is not out of the question. But
God,
but
I'll make another bet with you, Tony, that they're going to be better than 2-14.
They will probably eke out one more than that, and I certainly hope that I'm wrong. But those are the kind of wins that keep Jason Garrett in the driver's seat and keep Jerry Jones passing around the Kool-Aid. But that was just not a good offensive showing. Defensively, that they are getting better defensively. I'm just waiting for the Sean Lee injury, and then it'll all go downhill from there.
Well, they held Sean Lee out a lot during the game, didn't they? Mm-hmm. For some reason,
it did seem like he wasn't. Well, I think so. I'll kind of go with what Tony was saying. I think the Cowboys are to jump ahead. This isn't who I'm going with, but I think the Cowboys are who Tony thinks they are, and that's they're average at best. That offense, like Tony was saying, still. That was Dak didn't screw anything up, but Dak Prescott went 16 for 25 with 160 yards and a touchdown. 64 yards and a touchdown was all on that one Tavon Austin play where, yes, they do. That's why they brought Tavon Austin in, is to be explosive. But if you watch the replay, Janoris Jenkins, who's a good corner for the Giants, just kind of slipped, and then Tavon Austin got out. And, take advantage of the plays when you can. But if you take that play off, then Dak Prescott only had 96 yards passing and ended up with 4 yards per attempt and 6 yards per completion. So it was very poor. Ezekiel Elliott at one point in the game did look really good when the Giants defense started to look tired, and he just looked, stronger and faster. But it was a poor outing by the offense. I think they lack explosiveness and creativity. And then the defense, I do think they're good, but they won't get to play the Giants offense every week. So it's going to get tougher.
Well, but the Giants offense should be good. I mean, they've got Saquon
Eli's
Barkley.
Washed.
They've got,
Eli Manning is washed
I have to
up.
admit, he does look like he's washed up. But before we get off, now, Zeke did touch the ball 23 times. That is more like it. You got to let Zeke touch the football. And that run pass option worked. I mean, I don't think that's going to continue to work all year, but it certainly worked in that game. And Dak does have a little bit of running ability, but if he keeps getting out there and running the ball like that, he's not going to play 16 games. He may not anyway, but he won't for sure doing that.
I think, interestingly, you were looking at two teams that are the only thing that I think the Giants and Cowboys are very similar teams this year, where their quarterbacks are going to hold them back. And the thing that Dak Prescott has that Eli doesn't is he can run a little bit. You saw that. I think that was kind of the difference maker, his playmaking with his legs in the game.
No, that's a good point.
Because the Giants have a pretty good defense as well, and they tried to do the Saquon Barkley thing, and they gave I think at one point he had a weird stat line. I think he had like 12 catches, but only 10 yards on him or something weird. They were getting on the ball. Yeah. And a part of that was if you listened after the game, there was like a little mic'd up thing where Zeke and Barkley were trading jerseys. And Barkley was like, man, y'all's defense really did get to the ball. And you did notice every time that he got the ball in open field, there was a lot of Cowboys jerseys running. Jalen Smith looked fast. The defense looks pretty good, but we're just not going to get to play Eli Manning every week. I think that is an issue game because the Cowboys are going to end up going 7-9 or 8-8, but have a few of those games where maybe Jerry Jones will let Jason Garrett stick around and Sean Linehan. And I just think you're just staring at 8-8. You're just looking at it in the mirror, and I don't understand.
Yep.
But I want to move on to that.
Yep. That's what
I want to move on to that Monday Night Football game, and I had a few thoughts from it, but I left mainly thinking, one, before this year, and Khalil Mack was seen as a really good player before he got to the Bears, and that just seems like he might have been criminally underrated the past years. That guy is a beast. They could not block him.
What is up with that? I mean, sir, he was good, but he wasn't this good. And I mean, he can't be in football shape.
He was playing on a terrible defense. The Raiders we used to always say, it was funny, this was Ryan Russillo's thing all year last year. When people would talk about the Raiders, they would go, yeah, well, they have Derek Carr and a good offense, and then they have Khalil Mack and those guys on defense. You never really could name another player on their defense besides Khalil Mack last year. I think he just played on a terrible defense, and that Bears defense looks really good, spearheaded by Khalil Mack, but they have some serious talent. I'm buying it. I love the Bears. I just think I don't know what to think about Trubisky. I think they're going to go as far as he takes them, but there's some talent. What'd y'all think about that game?
Well, I saw the replays. I didn't get to see the most of the game. But one thing I'll say is about Khalil Mack is you've caught him prime of his career. He was in the last year of that rookie contract. So was year 4, the end, year 4?
Year 4. It's right in the prime. He's starting to really learn it. And
he came out a year early, I believe. And so you're catching him at just the right time. And Kevin, I think you've said something great there. You've put him with a good supporting cast that allows him to freewheel. One of the things that I've noticed, two guys reminds me of Derek Thomas that played with the Chiefs. I think used to dominate games from the defensive side. And this may be where they're going with him is we'll start to see some comparisons to Lawrence Taylor from where he just completely took over a game. You either couldn't run away from him, you couldn't run at him. And there were just times there for 2 or 3 years where Lawrence Taylor there's just nothing you could do.
I'm glad you brought that up because I did think watching Khalil Mack play the last 2 games, but Monday night especially, it did kind of bring back thoughts of Lawrence Taylor and how Lawrence Taylor I guess he was a defensive end, wasn't he? Wasn't that his position?
Lawrence Taylor was the first guy to be that outside linebacker in the 3-4. He kind of made that position.
But he could take over a game from that spot, and Khalil Mack looks like he has that ability to me. He does.
He plays ferocious, and that's what the difference is.
If you watch, and I didn't watch a lot of Lawrence Taylor. I've watched the NFL Network when they'll show the highlights and stuff, but Khalil Mack has a combination of, you've seen like the Dwight Freeney's who are the speed rushers, and you've seen the power rushers, and Mack is a huge guy, but also really fast. Like you'll see him just bull rush a guy and just put a offensive tackle on his back. But then you'll see him speed rush on the outside when they try to chip, and he'll just go around him and outrun Russell Wilson, who's a fast quarterback. He has all the combination, and watching that game, a guy to watch out for in the future if you watch some more Bears games. I've noticed him a little bit before, but last night, Hakeem Hicks, he's a big old defensive tackle, kind of plays a little end too. They move around. He's a beast that takes up two different guys. And then you got Mack on the outside, and then they drafted Roquan Smith out of Georgia, who's a good player. Trevathan's a linebacker they've had forever. I know LJ loves Danny Trevathan. He was good on the Broncos when they won their Super Bowl. And then the Bears haven't been a good team for a few years, so a lot of those guys are high draft picks on the defensive end. And then I loved Mack after the game. They were talking to him, and Michelle Tafoya interviewed him and talked about how they didn't finish last game against the Packers and what was the mindset going in. He's like, well, honestly, we didn't finish this game right either. We still got a lot of stuff to improve. And he just was talking like a real leader. And he wasn't like, oh yeah, we figured out who we are. He was like, no, we still didn't quite finish off like we should. There's a lot of ways to get better. And that was right after the game. I just think that there's a lot of talent because that team's been bad for a few years. And then now you got a real leader on the defense. And then on the offensive side, we talked a little bit about it last week about Nagy and how he's got some creativity. And then they did some interesting pickups where they got Allen Robinson, who just a few years ago led the NFL in touchdowns at the Jaguars. And then Taylor Gabriel's a little speedy guy that was at Atlanta a few years ago. And then Tarek Cohen and Jordan Howard. And Trey Burton they signed. There's a lot of good skill players. And I think Trubisky's going to hold him back. He doesn't look like he was worth that second overall pick to me. It's early, but. Yeah,
it's early. But I will say this, Kevin, to be honest with you, when I was watching the highlights, I just kept fast forwarding it to see the punter.
Yeah. So our boy Michael Dixon, he brought out a drop kick kickoff. I've never seen. I know Doug Flutie was the drop kick guy, but I've never seen a drop kick kickoff.
Okay,
so what is the purpose of that? I don't understand. What's the purpose?
They get to kick from closer up.
You do?
Yeah, I think he kicked it from like the 45 or 50.
But the guy caught it at about the 3-yard line. So, your objective there is to get it in the end zone, right, and get a touchback. That's your objective.
I think his objective was to hang time it so much that they got him inside the 20, which they did.
So they're starting closer and they can hang time it, and all of a sudden their coverage team is like down there on him as soon as he grabs it.
Hey,
do you have to drop kick it? You can't punt it there. Do you have to drop kick it?
You have to drop kick or kick it from a tee.
To be honest, was that after a safety or was it after?
No, that was after. After the one touchdown.
It was after. To be honest with you, I don't know the question there. I don't know the rule there. I will say this: the last time I saw a drop kick was 1981 in C.W. Lewis Stadium.
Oh my God,
that didn't work out too well for us then, and that's very interesting. I can't wait to see him drop kick it from like the 30-yard line and kick a field goal. We'll see if they let him do that.
I felt bad for Russell Wilson in some of that game. We were talking about the defense. He was just getting clobbered all game. I think part of it's he holds the ball too long, but man, he was getting killed.
But that's all Seattle has is they got Russell Wilson and 2 kickers. That's it. They've got. That's their team.
It's terrible when you're talking about when you're Russell Wilson and you hear like people talk about your team when they say, yeah, Russell Wilson's really good and they have a good punter. When the second player is your punter that someone names, that's scary. That means there's not a lot of talent.
The only other thing I read about was Janikowski did kick like a 54-yard field goal or something, I think.
By the way, Janikowski looks like he would be a stud in like some slow pitch softball. He's got the beer gut going. I bet he would be a badass out there.
And the thing about Janikowski, he has looked that way for 20 years. Sebastian, you go back and check out, I believe he went to Florida State. You can go back and look and watch Sebastian Janikowski, and he's looked the same for just forever. It's just a big barrel of a guy.
Did you see the little graphic they put up that the only other player that's still playing in the league that was drafted in the year 2000? Do y'all know who it was? Tom Brady. Tom Brady.
Really?
That's the only 2 players Sebastian Janikowski and the GOAT. And that's it from the 2000 draft.
Man. Well, man. Kevin, you said something about Seattle. Let me say this real quick. I don't know why there'd be any expectations other than Seattle to be where they are. You came into the year, you went and got a rookie running back in Rashad Penny, but you had Chris Carson said he was your bell cow. You go out and get Brandon Marshall, who's more than proven that he's pretty much washed up. I think you can take Brandon Marshall and Jordy Nelson, put them in a paper bag. I don't think they could punch their way out of it.
Yeah.
And so I'm not sure what they were thinking other than let's just call this one a year or keep Russell Wilson healthy and let's see if we can do something in 2019. I don't see Seattle going anywhere.
Yeah.
If I'm Seattle, I might be buying Russell Wilson a ticket to like Hawaii and just saying take the year off. Just go enjoy the year. Don't get hurt. We're going to suck, and we'll get a good pick and hopefully go get you maybe at least one competent lineman and a receiver, especially with Doug Baldwin hurt. Like, there's no reason to even trot Russell Wilson out there anymore.
Yeah, would not surprise me to see Earl Thomas traded here in the next 3 weeks. If they go,
I think they're just trying to get someone to pay a little more.
They're
for
1-3 in 4 weeks, and I think you see Earl Thomas get a second round pick for him to somebody, probably not the Cowboys, but somebody who's going to be in contention.
My last takeaway from Monday night was, and it has nothing to do with the product on the field, I think Joe Tessitore is awesome. I think he does a really good job. I think Booger McFarland's really good. I don't know why they put him on that little chair on the sidelines and do that weird thing. Just put him in the booth. Now, and I love Witten. I've been a Witten guy my whole life. He's been a long Cowboy. I don't think it's early, but I think he sucks. He's been terrible.
He's not noticeable at all. And if you do notice
he'll
him,
go
it's not
like
for a
5
good
plays
reason.
without talking. And when he does talk, it's because he can't pronounce Trevathan's name right, or because he predicts the wrong play. Like he's just not good. And I feel bad for saying that because I've always liked Jason Witten and he's a good player and a good leader, but I just think, and he's getting put on the bright lights of Monday Night Football where a lot of people are watching him. He's just not very good. I think, I don't know.
They got the wrong retired Cowboy on there. They need that other guy for who's he got? CBS has got him, right? Romo.
Yeah, CBS won out of the retired Cow, which is a good thing if you're go play for the Cowboys because you can retire whether you're good or not. You'll get a job as an announcer. I mean, Jerry will find a way for you to get a job, but
hey, they got that going for them.
Yep.
So they're going to be mediocre on the field and mediocre in the booth. So
there you
go. Going on to we brought it up a second ago, but the big news of the NFL is the Patriots went out and just did what I don't know what if the rest of the league just kind of got caught with their hand in their pants or what, but how did the Patriots end up getting Josh Gordon for maybe a 5th round pick? And if he doesn't play a certain amount of games, it might end up being only a 7th round pick. Am I missing something? Surely someone else would have offered
I thought what
more.
I saw is if he doesn't play very many games, that the Cleveland's got to give New England a 7th round pick is what I thought I read. So they're out a 5th round pick, period.
Okay, they'll get a 7th rounder.
They'll get a 7th rounder if he's suspended or doesn't play or something like that.
Still, how often does a 5th round pick end up getting cut?
Well,
Tony, did you see anything on that? I don't know how the
no,
Patriots
I haven't. I haven't had a chance to see the specifics of it, but I will say this. Kevin, you mentioned how that could happen. I don't know that there's been a player in the last 10 years, maybe longer, that's had so much risk reward attached to him as Josh Gordon. He comes out and has an all-pro year in, I think it was 2014, and then gets suspended not once but twice for a full year. There's just so much there that can happen. And so high risk, high reward. And as we talked last week, that is New England's MO. They will take whatever. And Lifford had a great quote, give me your poor, give me your wretched, give me your whatever. I think he was speaking to the Cowboys, but I'm actually thinking that was the Patriots. They will take guys off. Look at Corey Dillon. He was washed up leaving Cincinnati, and they made him an all-pro. Everybody knows the Randy Moss story. Amendola. I mean, the guy is through at the Rams, and he comes over and plays 4 or 5 more years, and he's still got a job. So
Wes Welker, remember Wes Welker was
So New England does that. They get players and put them in a system. I think we were compared to Green Bay, who has to grow those guys out. But this could be a phenomenal pick for the Patriots. This has been talked about. We own Josh Gordon in another dynasty league that I'm in. We have been waiting for this trade for 3 years. It's just like, will it happen?
This is the Josh Gordon dynasty owners are like, God, he finally has a quarterback.
And honestly, to tell you, I'd like to go trade him for a 1st or 2nd rounder because you just don't know what's going to happen. But there's a lot of buzz about it right now. He could have a stat line like this: 3 catches, 60 yards, and 2 touchdowns. He could be very effective as a red zone weapon. And you see right now, New England kind of needs that.
has been. It's been 5 years since this happened. But in 2013, Josh Gordon did go 87 catches, 1,600 yards, and 9 touchdowns, and led the NFL in receiving. And that was with
9 games, wasn't it?
It was like in 10 or 11 games, and that was with these quarterbacks: Jason Campbell, Brandon Whedon, and Brian Hoyer. He had a noticeable upgrade now with Mr. Brady. And so it's crazy. We were just talking about it, Dad. The Jaguars might Jalen Ramsey might have out Belichick by doing that whole the Gronkowski and trying to talk him into all this. We'll guard him, blah blah blah. And then they end up double covering him. And it looked like the problem the Patriots noticed after Sunday was we don't have Jalen Ramsey was right. They don't have anyone else that can beat them one-on-one. It's just Gronk. And if you put 2 on Gronk, no one else can beat us. And so the Patriots went, well, crap, we need a guy that you can't put one-on-one on the outside. Well, let's just throw a 5th-round pick, and now we got one. You watched in week 1 when the Steelers played the Browns. Josh Gordon hasn't played in, like we mentioned, in 2 years and hadn't even been in training camp. But the Steelers still had 2 guys, one over the top and one on him the entire game. They were still too afraid to do it. So now if you're either going to one-on-one Gronk or you're going to one-on-one Josh Gordon on the Patriots, or you're going to double both, and that means we're going to have Julian Edelman back in just a couple of games.
Yeah,
and that means Chris Hogan and Edelman both have one-on-one, and Brady has been known to tear people up over the middle in one-on-one coverage. For a 5th-round pick, why wouldn't you try that out for the Patriots? I mean, they've already said that this injury that supposedly he suffered at a magazine shoot that may or may not have been the reason why the Browns were trading him. They already said that he's ready to go and he'll be active for the next week. That injury is not holding him back. You might as well. That's a $1 scratch-off ticket the Patriots are buying that might be worth $1 million, or you just cut your losses and whatever. We're back where we started.
Yeah, crush that piece of shit and step away.
Yeah. There were a lot of rumors going around that he had taken a drug test and he was going to fail it. But
that can't be right?
Surely the Patriots did their due diligence and checked to make sure. But
maybe he was drinking, is what I heard, which is not against any rules, but would be detrimental probably for him. So,
boy, if you're Josh Gordon, if this doesn't make you we've mentioned this before, like if you can't straighten up now, well. His payday, we've talked about how he might have missed out on all this money. This is his chance to go ball out, and the Patriots will do this for 1 year. The Patriots won't give him a wide receiver, some big guaranteed contract. So especially someone like Josh Gordon with the past that he has. So they'll just let him have an amazing year, win one more Super Bowl, and then Josh Gordon can probably go back to the Browns and get paid some monster deal or something.
I can pretty much guarantee
this is your chance, Josh Gordon.
Yeah, his days in Cleveland are done. I'd put money on my bookie for that. His days in Cleveland are done.
Yeah, I suspect best case scenario, he does well with New England this year. They sign him to a 3-year contract, get through Brady's last 3 years, and he signs for a couple years somewhere else, take his $10 million and go home.
If nothing else, it will be interesting to see if the Patriots can make this work. But I know LJ brought this up in the chat we had before we hopped on today, and I know, Dad, me and you talked about it, and you seem to be in favor of the penalty. But once again, that this new roughing the passer penalty, where you can't breathe on him a little too much, and you can tackle him, but you can't tackle him hard. You have to kind of lay him down softly. You saw the Vikings and Packers tied, and the game tying touchdown the Vikings ended up getting was helped because they threw an interception, but on the play, Clay Matthews got called for roughing the passer where he, I guess, drove Cousins into the ground. I thought, to me, it looked like a good, clean hit. And what, Dad, are you still kind of in agreement?
Well, it definitely would have been a good clean hit last year, probably, or for sure 2 years ago. But my understanding is now that the league is going to use that as a visual aid to say this is specifically what you cannot do.
The NFL stood by it again this morning. They said that is what we're calling right there.
I hated it for Clay Matthews, who I like, and it was a game changer. Definitely a game changer for Green Bay that happened. Well, and for Minnesota too, obviously. But I mean, he did hit him and drive him into the ground a little. It didn't look what's the word, egregious to me. But if I understand what they're trying to accomplish, which is protect the quarterback, and that's what we all do want. I do want to see, well, not Kirk Cousins, but actually he is my fantasy quarterback. So yeah, I do want to see him play and play well. He did throw up 53 points this week for me, so take that. But you don't want Aaron Rodgers hurt. You like apples. But no, I don't want to see Aaron Rodgers Tom Brady, Dak Prescott, Deshaun Watson, any of those guys get slammed. Drew Brees, who I want to have a drink with, I don't want to see them get slammed on the turf. So I hear you. I think we've got to change the game a little bit. And so I'm begrudgingly okay with the call.
Tony, what's your thoughts?
Well, two things. One, that call, I think, was helped by what Clay Matthews did the week before. I don't know if you saw the Green Bay game last week, but he had a really, really bad personal foul. I can't remember if he hit a guy out of bounds or he hit a quarterback. No, he hit a quarterback that was rolling out, and it was a definite personal foul way after the ball was thrown, and he cold cocked the guy. So I think that kind of precluded him. And I think when they saw him have that play and take Kirk Cousins to the ground, Clay Matthews, you can't do that personal foul. But the NFL came back and said, yeah, that's what we want to do. I think Lifford said it well. The way the NFL is going in a entertainment industry, you want those big time players out there playing. And gone are the days where you tape up a 240 or 250 pound behemoth and say, go kill the quarterback, and they go kill the quarterback. Those days are gone. And we're here. This is what we've got. It's, some people call it 7-on-7. I don't think it's quite that bad yet, although we can talk about these wide receivers in a minute. But I think these rules protect that quarterback so we can have those kind of 29-29, 47-40, these big scoring games that the NFL looks like they're wanting to move to.
And it does seem, it seems like scoring is up this year, but do we miss the day, or at least I missed there used to be, back in the day, it was the way to beat Tom Brady and the Patriots was to rough him up. You got to hit him. It's going to be as he's releasing. It might not all be sacks, but you got to keep getting hits on him. And now it's scary. Like, you got to, and we're not, so not only are we saying, and I know we've beat this, not only me, but everyone's beaten this to death, but you're asking these defensive players to rush as hard as you can and get there as fast as possible and then hit them, but take off. Like, if you can, you need to now don't lean on them, don't fall off and do all this. But it's not like they're tackling a tackling dummy. They're also tackling a guy rolling out, sprinting to the right. Like Kirk Cousins and Aaron Rodgers, they won't get anyone confused for Josh Gordon, but they're not just unathletic. They can run. And so you're tackling a guy who's running to the right and you're sprinting after him. I just think you're asking so much of these defensive players and you're protecting these quarterbacks, which at the end of the day, I get what you're saying. If Aaron Rodgers isn't in the game, I'm not making it it's not like appointment television for me to make sure I'm watching the Packers game, which right now I am sitting down and want to watch Aaron Rodgers play. Yeah. So I get it. I feel bad. I just don't know what you do as a defensive player. It seems like it's
I think if you're going in as a defensive player and you feel that the ball has been released, you've got to not wrap up and you've got to turn sideways, or and I know that's hard, but I think that's what you have to do. And I'll say this, and I'm not the biggest fan of Mr. Cam Newton, but it was good to see that flag called on and that guy thrown out.
That was Cam Newton. He clearly said
that was dirty. Cam Newton was giving himself up, and the guy drilled him in the head, and that was exactly wrong. Now that guy needs to be thrown out of the game and fined. Yeah, but that's not what Clay Matthews did, and it is tough. But you have to give a little to get a little. Yeah,
so. It is interesting to see that ended up costing the Packers when the rule was dedicated to Aaron Rodgers the year before when he got hurt.
I'm going to beg to differ that cost him. You know where that game was tied by
right.
Is that dadgum block punt. Now, come on, man. You can't have a block punt in a game like that.
Come on, man.
You've got to be able to punt the ball, man. Punt the ball. You can't have a block punt like in a game like that.
I hate them. I hate players. I know that play did hurt a lot, but I'm with you, Tony. And I heard finally someone say it later, but that one play isn't what you lost. You tied 29-29. You missed field goal. You blocked a blocked punt. There's other play. No one play cost you the game in an NFL football game. I mean, there's more to it, and I get that hurt, but that also didn't give them a touchdown. Real quick, the most egregious penalty in all of football is the stupid spot of the foul play and a pass interference. Why do we still do that? That is how Joe Flacco is still in a job. Is when he just throws it up and hopes that he gets 50 yards on a pass interference play. Why do we do this?
What are you saying? It should be a 15-yard penalty.
Yeah, it should be a 15-yard. You see, like a guy like sometimes there are like bad pass interferences, but sometimes it's like a minor one where maybe it could have been a no call, maybe it's a call, but since it happened in the end zone, now they're going to get 50 yards in the ball on the 1 yard line for it. It's just dumb to me.
Yeah, I agree with that, Kevin. The thing that you got to think about is the type of play that's being run in. If you get a 5 yard, if you get a 5 and out and you break on the guy and you get pass interference and all of a sudden you get 15 yards when it should have been a 5 yard spot of the foul, automatic first down. Now I'm like, wait a minute, that's not right. But if now I've got 40 yards downfield, I chunk it up and the guy just mauls him, then obviously it's pass interference. And now I get the ball at the spot of the foul. The quarterback is probably, in Joe Flacco's case, he's just punting the ball. He's just throwing it. And so he hopes, I either get an interception or a pass interference, and hey, I'm good either way. So
yeah, it's
so I don't know, but it would allow, and scoring is way up. I don't think there's any way around it. Everybody wants to see the wide receiver catch the ball. This is one of the ways that pass interference, if those defensive backs have got a question about it, they're not going to hit the guy. So, I don't want to get pass interference. I'm going to try to go get an interception, and that's what causes a lot of these jump ball back shoulder catches that allows these guys to get 30, 40, 50-yard reception. That's
the only good argument I've heard, and I concede to it a little. If you make it a 15-yard penalty, then you're going to see guys who, if you make it always a 15-yard penalty, you're going to see corners who have clearly been beat, who just tackle the guy, because why not give up 15 instead of 60? But it just there's so many, and it was a bad rule back in the day.
Delivering the forearm to the face. That's not what we want to see. It's what I'd like to see, but I don't think anybody else wants to see it.
Well, and so that gets us to a point with, speaking of receivers, and it sounds like a topic you kind of want to bring up a little bit, but is the Steelers locker room just over the last week? The Steelers they lose to the Chiefs. Not in the last week, in the last like 4 days, they lose to the Chiefs. Le'Veon Bell seen partying on a jet ski by TMZ, and then on Monday, Antonio Brown, not only does he miss film and miss practice on Monday, but he also, somebody tweets to him that the only reason Antonio Brown got his money is due to Ben Roethlisberger. And Antonio Brown, I understand he can read it and go like, oh, shaking my head, that's ridiculous. But he quotes it and puts, trade me then. Like, what is going on? Is it just blowing up?
I don't know.
Panic or patience? What are y'all doing here?
It looks like it could be. Yeah. I'm a little panicked about it. Because I don't think Roethlisberger is the kind of leader to keep them together. I don't think I love Antonio Brown, Kevin. You know I've been on him since I first saw him in the league, but he's not the leader that's going to pull that locker room together. I don't know who is. And I'm a little concerned about the Pittsburgh Steelers.
Yeah, and we'll probably talk about this when we get to the buy section. And I hope LJ has arranged for those royalties to get to the Backstreet Boys. But I'm not as concerned, and I'll talk about it later. But Antonio Brown. Look, we're talking about a guy who arrived at training camp in a helicopter.
Yeah.
So, obviously he has a, I guess we call it a propensity for the flamboyant exaggeration. And so I'm not as concerned about it. I suspect that he's in tomorrow for practice. And, Mike Tomlin has always been this way. He's been a kind of a guy that's kind of taken off when it comes to holding his guys accountable in the locker room. He just wants to see him perform. But I will say this, for Pittsburgh, it's always been the defensive guys that have rallied them together. And I'm not sure they've got a defensive leader that can bring them together and say, hey, look, let's get this together. Because you're right, Roethlisberger is not that kind of guy. However, I'm not that concerned about the Steelers. I still think that Le'Veon Bell is in by the end of the month, that the Steelers, and I'll say this, the Steelers would have won that game this weekend if Le'Veon Bell's playing, because they would have been able to control the football with Le'Veon Bell. And I think we're seeing Connor's weaknesses in that aspect coming through this week in that Kansas City game. So I think Le'Veon Bell is in camp by the end of the month, and they go from there.
Yeah, I think James Connors isn't a bad running back, but it is clear James Conner is not Le'Veon Bell. He's not even Le'Veon Bell's just a special player. There's just no two ways about it. But what were you going to say, Dad?
Well, Le'Veon Bell has such a unique running style, right? He's so patient.
Yeah.
and follow those blocks. And did you see Zeke did that about 2 or 3 times in the Cowboys Giants game, where he just stood back there super patiently behind the line, read the blocks, and then, put the burners on. And I guess my question is, one, I like to see Zeke trying to do that. Why are more running backs not trying to emulate Le'Veon Bell? Because that is one of the more unique running styles we've seen in a while. Yes?
Well, I'll say, I think, which I don't have much experience being a running back, and by much I mean no experience being a running back for whatever reason.
Well, I've watched it.
But yeah, so I think it's easier said than done. One, because they're kind of, that running style is almost letting the defense create the holes for you. They're letting, like, when the defense finds a hole, they run to it, and then he chooses the other one, and it's so patient, and you're really trusting your vision. I think, one, it just takes an amazing vision. Just like you watch basketball, like, why don't more guys have the same vision LeBron has? It's because not everyone does. Le'Veon Bell has a special vision, and he trusts himself to find that hole. And then now his linemen know how to block it right, and they know that if a defender starts to over pursue a certain hole, just let him do that. Le'Veon Bell will read that and find the right way. And so it's a trust between the lineman and the running back to know we'll all make the right play. And not everyone can do it.
Yeah, and I agree with that somewhat. However, I think it depends upon the blocking scheme that's going on in that offense. You've got zone blocking schemes, which allows an offensive lineman to engage that defensive player, that allows that running back, like a Le'Veon Bell, to make a decision on which hole he's going to cut to. So those are the kind of guys, and Elliott's that kind of guy that where you can choose to go. Now, everybody talks about the Denver cutback offense. So that when you have a cutback type offensive line, they're going to make a block, and they're going to drive a guy a certain way, and they're going to take him there, and you're going to try to go and cut back into the lanes that they create. I think it depends upon the type of offensive line that you've got, and that's the way Le'Veon Bell does it. Elliott does a little bit, because they have offensive linemen that can dominate at that point of attack and hold their guy, do a zone blocking scheme, and they can read off of that. Not a lot of running backs can do that. And it's actually very rare. You could count them on one hand right now, the number of running backs in the NFL that could do that. So I think it's more dependent upon the type of running scheme that's been developed by that offensive coordinator.
Well, I guarantee you have to have that uncanny vision, and you have to have acceleration, because when you see that, you got to be able to hit itself. Yeah, you got to hit it and go. And Bell has that. I mean, and I can't decide how much I like Zeke or not, but he is a talented running back, and he has that ability to be at high speed quickly. Yeah. So yeah.
Speaking of Zeke, real quick, I think his friends need to be held accountable, because someone needs to tell him that look that he's got with his hair right now, and then wearing his sports bra in the post game, that he looks like an idiot in the post game interview with that little cut off shirt right below his nipples and everything.
Just a weird come look. On, man. You're talking to the guy who's about to get suspended for 6 games, and he's out there with a cut off shimmy shirt, out there dancing with bikini models. Come on, man. He's got no sense for that. He's out there. Zeke,
that's
Zeke.
What I'm saying. He needs a real friend who can go, hey, look, I know, like, you're a star, and you're the guy. You look like a jackass. You need to wear a shirt.
That guy's with Joe Tessitore on Monday nights is the problem.
I know he wants to show off his cool abs and all that. Have you an Instagram picture, a shirtless Instagram picture? He looks dumb out there wearing those little crop tops.
I will say this right now, and I'll go on record. I'm going to tell you, the coolest guy I've seen at a microphone since I've been watching post-game interviews is Ryan Fitzpatrick. You guys talked a little about this earlier. But y'all said it was Conor McGregor, and I get that. But dude, that guy, Captain Jack, came out of the said, "Hey man, I've got these Buccaneers. I'm going." I actually thought they were going to start playing a little chicka chicka bow wow behind him, because he's got all these chains around. He's got that hairy chest showing. I was kind of getting a little bit aroused, to be honest with you. This guy, man, that was just phenomenal.
That was awesome. Who would have thought the guy from Harvard could not only take over the NFL, but be the best looking guy? I mean, he's a stud.
Dude. Hey, and did Did you hear what he said too? So he's pretty funny because he said, "Oh, this is DJ stuff. It's Deshaun's. It was Deshaun's clothes." And they said, "Is any of that yours?" He goes, "Well, the chest hair." He said the chest hair.
His first lines, "Well, we just got to stay humble and keep taking this one game at a time." Oh my gosh, that was hilarious.
Did you see? So he did when he said it was Deshaun Jackson's clothes, and then you see the camera. There's one camera in the back that pans over. And because he says like, all right, we need to wrap this up. This is my last question because Deshaun needs his clothes. And they pan over. Deshaun Jackson is wearing no shirt. Like it's literally his shirt and jacket that's up there on the stage. He's waiting for Fitzpatrick to get off so he can put his clothes on. It was fantastic.
Let me tell you something. That is a team that is 2-0 when they're supposed to be 0-2, and they are loving it. They're loving it.
So
they're having a good time.
Did you see the real interesting quick story? Did you see that Fitzmagic has been they filed for a patent on the term Fitzmagic, but on the biggest turn of events, it was not by Ryan Fitzpatrick. It was by former Alabama corner Minka Fitzpatrick for the Miami Dolphins, who is a stud, but he filed for the patent right off. Supposedly, he's had this nickname Fitzmagic since he was in high school. But after hearing all these people call Fitzpatrick Fitzmagic, he realized, I might jump on this now. So the biggest interception of the season so far is this guy stealing Fitzmagic from underneath his feet. It was great.
Oh.
Did y'all hear? I think I heard Kirk Cousins is trying to patent "You Like That." Is that right? Have y'all heard that?
It almost, I did. So it almost made
He's trying to copyright.
I made my Super Bowl pick before the year. My Super Bowl pick was the Vikings to win the Super Bowl, and then I heard that, and I almost wanted to change my pick because that was the. I mean, what is he also wearing his Air Monarchs?
Because you don't like that?
Yeah. That was the whitest thing I've ever heard. The nerdiest, whitest thing I've ever heard from someone is that Kirk Cousins is going to copyright "You Like That." It was terrible.
That's pretty nerdy. Welcome to Kirk Cousins. All right. Hi, I'm Kirk Cousins. You like that?
Hey, keep putting up 53. Put up 53.
Hey, you know what? Kirk Cousins is laughing on his way to the bank with that $91 million guaranteed. So I guess he's right.
Yeah, he is.
We mentioned that we mentioned the Steelers and all that, and I kind of want to go ahead and kick off with the Steelers are
now. If you want to crown them, then crown their ass. But they are who we thought they were.
They are exactly who I thought they are. Tony alluded to it. Mike Tomlin has never had a hold of that locker room. You got Antonio Brown doing the Facebook Live videos. They've had these little disputes before with Brown or Le'Veon Bell and his quarterback, and now the offensive line and Le'Veon Bell. And then Antonio Brown at one time said that he basically threatened a reporter to square up with them one day if they ever meet in public. It's like Tony said, they never have worried about the locker room and the leadership. He just wants you to kind of produce on the field. And it seems like it always ends up being because they are talented. They're going to win games, but late in the year, they're going to lose, like Dad said, because they're not mentathletes. They're going to blow something, do something silly at the end of the year, and they're going to blow up because Mike Tomlin, I really have always kind of liked him, but he really hasn't.
I have too, but
he's never had a hold on the locker room. It doesn't seem like he's the authority and kind of nobody's held accountable. And I just think I'm not writing them off as a playoff team. I'm sure they'll figure it out. There's just too much talent for him. Le'Veon Bell, as Tony said, will be on the team at some point. Antonio Brown is still probably the best receiver in football. The defense will start to figure it out, I think. They'll go 10-6, make the playoffs, and then they'll do something stupid or they'll blow up because they're who we thought they were. The Steelers I don't know. I'm kind of out on them. They annoy me. They do this all the time. That's my who we thought they were for the week. So who do y'all have as a who we thought they were? Tony, I'll go to you first.
Well, I didn't do so well last week with my pick. I think I took the Redskins, didn't I?
Yeah.
No, for who you thought they were, you took Oakland.
Yeah. Now, I'll stick. Can I stick with that? Because
no, you have to have a new team.
Because let me say this. Oakland, there they go again. Get out to the big lead. La-di-da-di-da. We got this one. And guess what? You're beat. You beat. And so those guys.
John Gruden, they asked John Gruden about Khalil Mack because for whatever reason, John Gruden, I don't know if he's just doesn't realize he's putting his foot in his mouth every time. But after every game, he keeps going, well, we just got to, if we can only find a way to rush the passer better, we got to find a way to get to the quarterback. Well, you just traded the best pass rusher in football and you never even talked to him. So maybe that would have helped.
You know how you can get rush the passer? $141 million over 8 years. That's how you rush the passer.
I know the exact price tag. I got the exact price tag for it. And the Bears paid it.
That's exactly how you rush the passer.
And then I know me and LJ have talked this before, and just great John Gruden quotes. Apparently, they asked after the game, or on Monday, they asked about Khalil Mack, and does it kind of hurt seeing him just succeed and being so great and knowing that you traded him? And he was like, well, you know, I don't regret it. You always know hindsight being 50-50. I don't know if he got the term wrong or if that's a new saying, but I've never heard hindsight being 50-50. I thought it was 20-20. But I know LJ, if he was on, I know he'd want to bring it up because Gruden's just always making the weirdest quotes in the world. I don't know. I'm with Tony. The Raiders are who we thought they were.
Yeah,
but he can't take them again.
Okay, so
he can't.
Yeah,
take
you're
them
right.
Again.
I can't. So I'm gonna say the Seahawks. As I mentioned earlier, I think if somebody was thinking the Seahawks were going somewhere, they were wrong. We are who they thought they were. They're Russell Wilson and a punter, and you know,
and a punter.
That's not going to get you very far here in the NFL, you know. So I'll go with the Seahawks there. We are who they thought they were.
What do you got, Dad?
Well, okay, but who we thought they are does not necessarily mean a bad connotation.
No,
right?
no,
It can be who we thought they are.
You can take the Rams tonight if you want to, Len.
And no, I took the Rams last week, and I didn't take them in this division, but I am going to take who the hell I want to take, and I'm not going to let y'all talk me out of it. I can tell you that for damn
My
sure.
God, that's what I like to hear.
And who I'm taking this week and who we thought they are, I'm going to go ahead and take Minnesota because Minnesota is a good, solid team. They're going to be a playoff team. They're going to be there at the end. They did just have a tie, which they, got a little break, perhaps on the block punt, perhaps on the Clay Matthews deal. But Minnesota is who I thought they were. They're going to be competitive and they're going to be there at the end. That's my team. I'm going to agree with Lifford tonight. I think that's a great pick. So I believe they picked up a Mr. Dan Bailey this week. And so they did. Yeah.
So absolutely. If you lose by a block punt at Lambeau Field, so be it. Just get out of town. Nobody's the Miami Dolphins. You're not going 17-0. Get home. You didn't lose. You got a tie. You know,
you'll be just fine.
The Vikings, I think, are the real deal. They're the real deal.
And LJ gave me a note, and since he couldn't be on, he gave me his thoughts. And it sounds like we're all in agreement this week. He had the Minnesota Vikings as a team that he thought they were, and his reasoning was he couldn't put them on the buy of the week because they'd be too expensive. It's not like you can't buy low on the Vikings anymore, but they are exactly who he thought they could be coming into the year, and he likes them to host a couple playoff games. They're so talented, a lot of depth. Their only question is maybe some offensive line issues, but Kirk Cousins looks like he's going to be him, and Diggs and Thielen. They look great. Cook's going to keep getting better, I think, at running back. They're a good team. And it's interesting, those quarterbacks, the big shakeup this offseason, I think everyone kind of won on the whole quarterback thing. I think the Redskins got better with Alex Smith. The Vikings got better with Kirk Cousins. The Broncos are better with Case Keenum. Everyone kind of seems like they won off this whole little quarterback carousel that we did in the offseason.
Yeah. Hey, Derek Carr was 29 for 32 for 288. I mean, Derek Carr made a vast improvement over week one.
Well, yeah, once he wasn't playing that hard Rams defense.
Loser.
Well, I'm just saying, Derek Carr showed up and played a lot better football. I think John Gruden kind of called him out, said there were some mistakes by the quarterback, which there were, and Derek Carr showed up and played well.
Yeah.
While we're talking quarterbacks.
Yeah.
So.
Kevin, just one thing on the Vikings. I will say this. I am concerned about Dalvin Cook. He did get an injury there in overtime. There's some concern this week. I don't know that he practiced today. It looked like either was a cramp or a hamstring pull. So we'll see what happens there. I'm a little concerned that Cook has got one of those, having one of those sophomore slumps coming off of that ACL. Really concerned about going out there and going full speed. You haven't seen that from him yet. I am a little concerned about Cook. But to the Vikings' credit, Latavius Murray is not a slouch.
They have Latavius Murray.
And he's going to be a 3.8.
He can hold down the fort for a little while. Yeah.
Yep. And so they still should be good there. But I'm a little concerned about Cook.
Yeah, I think if you're the Vikings after that, because I think it was a hamstring, and I've kind of seen and heard people talk about how coming off an ACL, you can overextend a little bit, and you have, because you hadn't been running as much, you've been rehabbing, and so maybe it's easier to hurt that hamstring because all of a sudden you're going 100% for the first time because there's just no subs. You can't practice game speed. It's a different level. So if I'm the Vikings, I'm with you. Latavius Murray's no slouch. Let him run for the next few weeks. Get Cook back to Cook, because if you get him back, that team's scary. So we'll move on to the buys of the week, and the team the team that I'm on this week is, and we mentioned it earlier, I'm a little nervous with Mitch Trubisky. I'm betting on Matt Nagy to kind of figure it out, but I just love the talent the Bears have around them. I think they could compete for a playoff spot. They're not going to win that division because, like we just mentioned, the Vikings are really good. I really don't know how good the Packers are. I think they're going to go as far as Aaron Rodgers can take them, and it scares me because you already see him after 1 week. He's hobbling around on one, and he did look good last week, but he scares me that if he could get hurt, I think the Lions aren't very good. I think the Bears could end up winning 10 games and maybe creeping into the playoffs. Trubisky's not winning a playoff game, but if I had to choose, I'm putting some stock in the Bears. I love the talent that is all put around Mitch if they can figure that out. You guys feeling that one at all, or y'all kind of going against me on that?
I think you're buying low, but yeah, I mean, that's good. Okay.
I have some concerns about that. Number one, because of the division they play in. I mean, you've got Green Bay and Minnesota sitting there.
Minnesota and Green Bay
in front of you. If you're going to be the number 2 wild card coming out of that division, that's going to be a tough thing to do when you got the Rams out there, and then you've got in the
I think the NFC is just a little weak because I think the East is weak besides the Eagles.
The East is weak, but the thing
the
about
South
that,
will beat up
Eagles,
on each other.
That's true. I think the Saints and the Panthers, it's going to be tough to keep both of those guys out of the playoffs. I don't know that you keep both of those out. So I don't see how the Bears, although they'll be much improved and a very good team, I agree with that. I don't see them making the playoffs. 3 teams out of that NFC Central or NFC North coming out and going to the playoffs.
I can see that. Mm-hmm. The Packers just scare me because I think all their eggs are in the Aaron Rodgers basket, and we've seen a few times that. If I'm gonna put we already mentioned last week, it's the best basket. If I'm gonna put all my eggs in one basket, he's a good one to put on. He just scares me because it's kind of like the Russell Wilson thing. He knows how much he has to make plays, and he'll overextend himself to make that play sometimes. And all it takes, if Aaron Rodgers does go down, heaven forbid, I want to see him all year, but if he misses 4 games, you can chalk that up as 4 losses to me because they're Aaron Rodgers or bust. And the Bears I love that talent on defense. Now they've got to be able to put up more points because the only reason they won Monday night is because they played the putrid Seahawks, like we talked about, as Tony mentioned. And so they got to be able to put up more points. But I like the talent around Trubisky if he can figure out who are you buying this week, Dad?
So it sounds like we're trying to buy low.
Well, you can buy high, but you can return on your.
LJ called you out.
Damn right,
LJ called you out. He's trying to get you.
But if I'm buying low, I'm buying San Francisco. I'm buying San Francisco with Jimmy G. I like how Breida. I don't even know how to say the kid's name.
Matt the Cheetah
ran the
Breida?
ball well. Is it Breida? Matt Breida ran the ball well. Pettis didn't have such a great game, but Garcon caught a few balls. They're going to get Goodwin back. I don't think he's hurt terribly bad. They've got is that where Kittle's
George Kittle,
Kittle's tight end. So I'm going to say I'm buying San Francisco.
Did you see on Breida's long run, that like long 80-yard touchdown run? Pierre Garcon blocking 75 yards down the field. Like he blocked his corner all the way into the end zone. It was, if you're coaching receivers and you want to show them how to block, just put that one on a loop. It was beautiful to see Garcon blocking all the way.
Pierre Garcon, he hadn't got the most masculine name perhaps, but he is a football player. I like him. I just like Garcon.
And I think you saw again, Shanahan just, if there's one thing Shanahan can do is he knows offense, and I think that offense will be just fine. Like you said, they don't even have Goodwin back yet. I like that a lot. I guess, did you and LJ, I don't know if y'all sat down for lunch today or if y'all were talking this out, but he as well said that that's who he's buying. He's taking San Fran, and he would like all of it that you'll give him. He said he likes the play calling. He likes the talent on both sides of the balls, even with them losing their McKinnon at running back. And another thing he mentioned was that division. Besides the Rams, you're getting the Cardinals 2 times a year, and you're getting the Seahawks 2 times a year, which could be 4 wins. So he's with you. Yeah. He's all in with you. He said he would like to buy all that stock. Tony, who you got? Who you buying in the week?
Okay, I'm going to go against the grain, but I am going to take LJ's advice, which before we end tonight, I need to say something to LJ. But anyway, I am going with the Pittsburgh Steelers.
Really?
Oh, really? Yeah, you're
buying low and selling high.
You're buying low. That's for sure.
So here's the thing. They have barely missed in 2 games. And I say barely because, as LJ so eloquently put it, the Chiefs are a great September team, one of the best ever. But, the Steelers are one of the best December teams ever. And so, notwithstanding playoffs. So, I really believe that the Steelers have what it takes to go a long way. They play in a pretty weak division. I'm not sure Cincinnati can continue to play at the level that they're playing. You've got Cleveland, you've got Baltimore. I just don't see them. I don't see them not making the playoffs. Yeah, they're 0-1-1, but you're playing a hot Kansas City team. You went on the road to Cleveland, who was coming off a Hard Knocks and looking for a win. That was a tough opening day game. So Le'Veon Bell, if he's in camp in a couple weeks, I see them going 10-6 or 10-5-1, and making the playoffs, winning a wild card game, and then there you are. And Roethlisberger can sling it with the best, and Antonio Brown can catch it with the best. Juju Smith-Schuster, he showed this weekend. He
looks like there was no rookie sensation. He is the real deal. Yeah,
he is the real deal.
Yeah,
and they've got a huge tight end in Jesse James, who's really showing what he was supposed to be doing the last couple of weeks. They get Le'Veon Bell back. I don't know what keeps them from really stomping on it down the middle stretch.
Kevin, he's getting me interested in Pittsburgh now. He's putting a pretty big.
That was a really good. That was a good sell, and they're one of those teams to me this week. I was looking at them for a couple of different options for our choices, and they just scare me because I could see that part, like Tony's saying, and there's just so much freaking talent around Ben Roethlisberger that it's hard with like you said, with the two receivers, and then they drafted the kid out of Oklahoma State, James Washington, who I think is really talented. And then if Le'Veon Bell comes back, you might have the best running back. And surely the defense figures it out a little bit. I mean, they are the Steelers, and maybe that's just the Steelers. I'm ingrained in my mind to think the Steelers are going to have a decent defense. But they just scare me. Like, what if you're seeing not all these guys are Tom Brady, and Eli Manning's falling off, it looks like. Maybe Ben Roethlisberger. I don't know if he's lost it or not. I think it's too early to tell.
Yeah, but he threw for 457 yards on Sunday.
Because he was down by 20 points within 5 minutes. They were playing comeback, and the Chiefs' defense sucks.
Well, I will say that, I will say this, though. I saw Drew Brees try to throw the ball 45 yards on Sunday, and he got intercepted. Ted Ginn Jr. was 10 yards behind the defender, and Brees threw it right in the cornerback's arms. He missed the guy by 5 yards. You don't see Roethlisberger doing that. I don't see any way that Roethlisberger is at that point where, oh, shit, he's not going to be able to throw a ball. He can throw a ball. And when it happens, I think it happens fast. And all of a sudden you start going, like you said, all of a sudden you're like, whoa, he can't make that 40-yard throw. He can't make that 20-yard out. I'm not ready to put my eggs in there yet, but I'm thinking about it. I think just go YouTube Juju Smith-Schuster and see some of those throws that he made this weekend. Man, the dude has still got the cannon. Now you're right, it goes down fast, but I'm going to beg to differ that Roethlisberger can still chunk a football.
Well, interestingly, that you may have slightly talked me and Pops into the Steelers, Tony, but LJ is wondering if the Steelers are even
playoffs. Talk about playoffs? You kidding me? Playoffs? I just hope we can win a game.
Now, LJ, I think, does think they can win a game or two, but he is saying that is the team he is crossing off his playoffs. He says the Steelers will not make the playoffs. He loves their talent, but he he said it seems like that locker room, it's always seemed like there's been some issues in that locker room. And now with the offensive line calling out the running back and Antonio Brown being Antonio Brown, I think this is kind of who he is. And then the lack of defense. And then I think he's kind of questioning Big Ben. He's just saying he's off the bandwagon. He's done with the Steelers. They won't make the playoffs. And it basically, I wish we had LJ on because he sounds like he's in complete disagreement with you, old Uncle Tone.
Yeah, and maybe this is my chance to look. I'm going to make an appeal to LJ right here.
Yeah, all right, yeah, here,
right.
Take the floor.
So,
I know you had some words for old L.
LJ, look, man, let's go out for a drink because, obviously something's wrong. I don't know what it is. I don't know if there's some kind of jealousy thing. I'm on a podcast. You're not. I don't know. But we got to get in sync here, brother. You're a good man. I know you're a good man. But we gotta.
It's like a players only meeting.
I know. Should we even be here? I'm feeling a little bad. We maybe should exit the room.
It's all right. It's all right. Because and I have it from I have it from a good source that I think LJ's just scared of Patty Mahomes. Being a Broncos fan, sometimes those things happen, and I think there's just a little bit of
there's fear in him, and he's hoping.
He's a fear. But hey, LJ makes some great points. Much love to LJ. I'm pounding my chest, giving him the peace sign. But I'd love to go out and let's LJ and I talk because I do think that he's got some differing opinions from me. But that's okay.
So here's what I'm hearing though. So the Steelers, it's a matter of time before you hear the typical. The Steelers are having a players only meeting where they're trying to get things figured out between everybody. And it sounds like not only are the Steelers going to do that, but here on the Just Press Play, we might have to do that too. And we need Tony and LJ to have a players only
meeting.
Players only.
We need
look, man.
Sit down, have a few drinks, and let's talk this out. Let's get on the same page here.
All right, I'm going to say this. All right, look, man. When's the last time you saw like 10 or 15 New England Patriots out there celebrating together? The last time I ever saw the New England Patriots doing anything together, Bill Belichick and Danny Amendola were dressed up in some kind of funky crap going out to the Kentucky Derby, betting on ponies, and Bill Belichick was 3 sheets to the wind because he had some good-looking girl on his arm. That's the last time any kind of New England Patriot had any kind of relationship. They don't give a shit about each other in that locker room. Nobody ever talks about it because Belichick handles it. But that's why I'm saying the Steelers, they don't need to give a shit about each other. They need to go out there and play football. They've got talent to go play football.
I don't want to go too far on this, but I argue with you a little bit. So the Patriots, you're right to the extent. I don't think that when the game's over with, they don't care what you're doing, where you're going to eat, or trying to be friends with your buddy. But when they're on that field, there's one mission, and that's to win football games. It's not worrying about what you're getting paid, what
Absolutely.
I'm getting paid, what my job is. And that's the problem with the Steelers. It sounds like their offensive linemen are looking at how much Le'Veon Bell is getting paid, how much they're getting paid. Antonio Brown wants to make sure he's getting recognized for his worth. When who cares if some random Twitter person says that Big Ben's the reason you made your money? Antonio Brown knows he's a stud. Why does he need verification from a Twitter user?
Yeah. So Antonio Brown comes off the sideline on Sunday.
And he's yelling at offensive coordinators.
They're down 13 points. He says, I'm going to drop it. Give me the fucking ball. That's all he's saying. Because we're behind. Give me the ball and I'll score. You got to give me the ball. That's what those are the guys you want to say, hey, give me the ball. I'll take care of this. We shouldn't be losing to the Chiefs at home. And he's saying, give me the ball. And they're saying,
that's all fine and well during the game, but why on Monday morning are we missing practice and tweeting about trade me? That just is unnecessary.
The dude arrived to training camp in a helicopter. He just likes the attention. But you know what? On Sunday, there's no receiver better than him. Get him the ball. Yeah, he got 9 catches for 67 yards. He's saying, dude, let me go down the field. I got this guy.
Maybe the problem, I think there was plenty of targets. I think the problem might be that Big Ben is getting a little long in the tooth there and having a hard time getting the ball where it needs to be. But we'll go away from that. That's LJ's.
Touche. Move on. Touche.
That's LJ's crossing them. And he said he wanted to give us 2 this week since he missed last week. And as much as he loves Fitzmagic and what he's doing in the post-game press conference, he's saying that we got to fade the Bucs and that he'll go ahead and cut them from the playoffs too, because these are just a few weeks. And what he's seeing happen is they're going to let Winston come back in and it's going to blow up in their face and they'll be the Bucs that we all saw. I don't know if I'm with LJ on that. but because I think the Bucs, maybe this is the roster that we kind of last year, if you remember, we were all picking the Bucs to be like that sleeper team and be a good team. And there's some talent on that roster. And if Fitzmagic can be a good quarterback,
he can't be, but for about 4 more games at max, he can't be. But
Yeah.
well, there's no better quarterback than a guy, and LJ kind of alluded this on the last episode, but there's no better quarterback than Ryan Fitzpatrick when he knows that 1 year, $11 million contract is looming.
Yeah.
He knows that somebody's about to overpay him, so he's about to ball out for a year.
And we talked about this last week, and props out to LJ for calling out again earlier this week, that Ryan Fitzpatrick, you got to be careful jumping on this bandwagon because, again, for 3 or 4 games, this guy is Fitzmagic. We can say that one more week. So he's good for that. But the Buccaneers have been looking for an excuse not to start Jameis Winston. And here we go. They're going to have 4 or 5 games. The thing that worries me about the Bucs is not necessarily who's quarterbacking, but who's running the football. Peyton Barber was a pretty late sleeper kind of pick because there's nobody that's giving him any competition. Ronald Jones Jr. has not come into camp ready to roll. They have got to be able to run the football come October, November, when they get into Atlanta, and they have got to control the clock. And right now they don't have that. Peyton Barber had something like 30-something yards. Now, you can say, yeah, but they were giving them downfield. That's fine, but they've won 2 games, and both of them were pretty close. Philadelphia was right there with them to the very end. Same thing the week before with the Saints. I just don't see this continuing, and that's not necessarily a bad pick unless they can figure out their running game.
And what are you banking on right now? Are you banking that the Bucs are going to keep winning close games and Fitzpatrick's going to keep being the MVP candidate, or is he going to come back down to earth a little bit? I can see LJ's thoughts.
He's coming down.
Well, no, I think he's coming down. But as long as he keeps wearing those gold chains and showing that chest hair, he's going to be all right.
Hell yeah! It's a dad wants a quarterback to go have a drink with. I want to go have a drink with Fitzpatrick. That man looks like a fun time. So my team that I'm crossing off the list, and it almost feels like a cop-out now after hearing some of our thoughts on them earlier, after hearing Dad and Tony's thoughts. But the Seahawks, we're just, like I said earlier, let's send Russell Wilson to Hawaii, take the year off, don't get hurt, go spend some time with Sierra, and they just need to go ahead and lose every game from here on out and bottom out. They've already basically done it. That whole Legion of Boom is Earl Thomas is like the only one. Him and KJ Wright and Wagner are the only ones left, and Wright and Wagner are both hurt. Earl Thomas wants out anyway. Just go ahead and trade him, get some picks, and let's start this thing over with. That team just looks atrocious. Like, as Tony said, when your second best player is a punter, you're probably not going to have a big year. And they're not talking playoffs. They just need to bottom out. Dad, who do you got? Who's not making playoffs in your book?
All right, I'm going the same way. I'm going Seattle because their third best player is a damn field goal kicker, and Sebastian Janikowski. So, I mean, I'm sorry, but I'm taking Seattle. They're not going to make the playoffs, so that puts me on now. I didn't take Dallas last week. I mean, I may use them, but right now I've got Buffalo and Seattle. Kevin, you got Arizona and Seattle. Tony, you got Dallas and whoever you tell us next to not make the playoffs.
Who we got?
Jets, Jets.
Oh, wow. Wait, what happened? I thought Sam Darnold was a Hall of Famer. All of a sudden, they put up 12 points.
Hey.
I know you weren't on that. You weren't on that.
Hey, I think I said it last week, and I appreciate the shout-out on Monday. But if you went to MyBookie.ag like I did and put money against the Jets, you're a big winner. So I just, I think that's something that, there was a lot of hype about it. This kid is a rookie. Yeah, he's going to be good, but not this year. They've got a lot of holes. When Quincy Enunwa is your number one star, there's problems. Yeah, I like the guy, but come on.
I think the whole world got blown away with all it seems like there's like multiple Mike Greenberg being the head of them, but there's multiple Jet fans that are notable talkers on radio and TV. And Jet fan was just going crazy. You saw the players like waving goodbye to the Detroit Lions. I think in week 1, really, we learned more so that the Lions are just not that great of a team than we learned that Sam Darnold's a Hall of Famer. He might be good eventually, but not yet. Let's cool the pump brakes.
I'll tell you what, y'all don't fall asleep on the Detroit Lions. Now, they may not make the playoffs, but there are going to be some games for all you guys going out to MyBookie.ag. Y'all don't fall asleep on those Detroit Lions because they're not that bad. I mean, they went to San Francisco.
Their coach wears a pencil in his ear when he carries around a laminated sheet.
Yeah.
It doesn't. What is it? He's
Yeah.
incompetent.
'Cause he's
Their
from
coach sucks. I'm not selling them. I'm selling Matt Patricia.
Okay, yeah, let's get over that. Matt Stafford can still throw the. Don't fall asleep on the Lions. I'm not saying they're going to win a bunch, but if you're out there on MyBookie.ag, be careful when you get a good line on the Lions. I think they are some great bets because they're gonna pretty much lose, but they're gonna lose close. So I'd be careful of those. I'd be
bet the
careful.
over. Bet the over for all the Lions games because they'll put up the points.
Yeah.
They just won't stop anybody.
Bet the over.
We need to have a little bet update. Also, so Baltimore did lose to a really hot Cincinnati team. Washington lost to who? Indianapolis? Are you kidding me?
Yeah.
Seriously?
Yep, I was on the Colts this weekend.
You were on the Colts this
Yeah.
weekend? Okay.
I was on the Colts. That line was just too juicy. I know I talked about Washington last week, but
You're going to put a Bonehammers
Yeah.
little T9C thing on the website. What do I get? What do I get if you put a little T9C Bonehammers?
so
What does Doc?
If the Redskins end up with a better record, what does
Doc
that
get?
get?
Yeah,
Doc, I'll let you put a poster up here on the in the man cave.
I get to put a poster in the man cave. Okay, I get to put like a
Yeah,
poster of
you
me.
Put a poster in the man
I
cave.
get a poster of me.
Whatever you want.
Okay.
It's your
if you're
choice.
Smart, you put a post. If you're smart, you put a poster of your wife. But
That's true.
Yeah, if you want it to be you, go ahead on, man. I'm good with that.
As Tony's mentioned, if you're going to put down the bets, you got to go to MyBookie. And right now, for all our listeners, they've been the big sponsor to our podcast, and we appreciate everything from MyBookie. And they are now, not only will they match anything you deposit if you put in the promo code JPP, but if you'll put in the promo code JPP25, for all our listeners, they'll actually give you an additional $25 on top of matching whatever your deposit is. So you got to go play on MyBookie, and you got to put in the JPP25.
Okay. So Kevin, can I tell a MyBookie.ag story right now?
Yeah. Let me hear it.
Okay. So I went to the site. They have some of my money. Not going to say how much. And I put in my promo code. So I got a little bit of free play. But here's the thing. CJ Anderson can suck my you-know-what. And here's why.
Whoa.
CJ Anderson got a pass thrown to him by Cam Newton. It bounced off of his damn shoulder pad up in the air, and Atlanta intercepted it. Carolina was driving. I took Carolina for 5.5 on MyBookie.ag in a 7-game parlay. I didn't do the teaser. I did the parlay. That was a $680-something. I won 6 out of 7. You know which one I lost? Carolina. CJ Anderson catches that pass. Carolina goes down to score. Atlanta comes back, kicks a field goal. Guess what? They win by 3.
Well, I always heard they only call what you did. So you end up losing
They
the
would
parlay.
cover. I lost the parlay because Atlanta won. I think it was 31-24. They won by 7. If Carolina had gone down and scored, then it would have been 20. I think 27-27.
Ifs and nuts
instead
for
Atlanta having
candies
time
and
to control it.
nuts. Do you know how much
tell you,
a 6
that is
out of
a-
7 parlay pays?
So-
the same as a 1 out of 7 parlay plays. Nothing.
That's correct.
Zero. Nada.
And to call it out, ladies and gentlemen, that's a Keith Smith story.
Apparently, so sports gambling is now legal, and in New Jersey, that FanDuel opened up this big complex where they do like live betting and all this stuff. Well, the FanDuel in New Jersey declined to pay out. A man put $110 bet on the Broncos that would have paid out more than $82,000 due to an error in the odds making process. And FanDuel is not going to. Here's the story. This man named Anthony Prince was watching the line as Denver was playing the Raiders, and that the score was 19-7 late in the 4th. And Case Keenum completed a long pass to get Denver down to the Oakland 18-yard line, which would obviously put them in a pretty comfortable field goal position, which would take the lead. And so the line, let's see. FanDuel attempted to update the live betting odds to reflect Denver as a -600 favorite. However, they accidentally put the Broncos posted as a 170-1 underdogs to win the game. And this man noticed it and thought, wait, they're underdogs when all they got to do is kick this little cheap shot field goal. So he put down $110, and it would have netted out a payout of $82,610 at the correct odds. It would have, at the correct -600, it would have only netted $18.35. So FanDuel came out and said that we will not be paying him this money. They did offer $500 and tickets to 3 different Giants games. And you know what this guy's response was? And I think that's what this guy said. He said Giants, and he decided he's going to hire an attorney. So we'll see what happens. But FanDuel shit the bed, and now they don't want to pay this guy all the money that they screwed up on. What are y'all thoughts? Should he get that money or
no? I'm gonna have to say to the guy, if you will read the fine print on any bet you make, any errors in calculations void all bets.
There is fine print between FanDuel where it shows it.
If you go to Las Vegas and you go to the window, if you read the back of that ticket, it will say any mechanical errors voids all bets. I suspect that FanDuel will win this one if he goes to court.
Well, and that's kind of what I was reading, was that FanDuel does have something in there where it's just it was an error on the odds making, and there is some fine print. Now it's going to have to be, because it's new to New Jersey. This in Nevada, like you're saying, Tony, this wouldn't be an issue. This happens, and there's fine print to kind of cover the odds makers' butts. But I don't really know what's going to happen in New Jersey. I would bet FanDuel ends up winning. But as this guy, if you're this guy and you notice clearly when he made the bet, he knew something ain't right with this. There's no way Denver should be the odds. Right. So, and he put the money down. He knew when he put the money down.
I don't blame him for trying. I don't blame him for trying.
I don't blame him for trying.
Well, I think if a man that won't cheat for a poke,
he don't want it bad enough.
Yeah, but no. Yeah, so I'm thinking about sending a letter to MyBookie.ag. Is it really fair that I lost $688 because CJ Anderson can't catch a pass? I don't think it's fair.
Yeah, good luck with that, Tony.
They'll put in their box of suggestions that actually goes out to the dumpster.
I will say, though, money was won this weekend. If you were listening to the podcast earlier, money was won.
Paid the Jets. All right. Yep. Well, I think that'll do it for this week. As always, Uncle Tone, we appreciate you coming on and making another appearance.
Oh man, I can't talk about the wide receivers.
Well, we're cutting close. We've been going a little. We've rattled our gums a little too much today, so I think we're gonna have to
save it
for a future episode.
It'll be there.
All right, Pops, you got anything else before we sign off?
I'm good. I'm out. Peace.
All right, guys. Peace out.
Thanks, Kevbo. Yeah, I've got to. Before we get done, I got to. Hello.
You got a little message to LJ?
Yeah, I got to have a shout out to LJ here before we get done.
Yeah, all right.
Yeah. I don't hear anybody.
Can y'all hear me?
I hear you on Skype, Dad, but I don't hear you on Zencaster.
You sound like that dude. Hello, this is God talking.
All right, I've just muted and unmuted Zencaster.